The phrase that you're so desperate for grievances that you have to go back into history to find them, that really says something. It pays off, they're going to keep doing it. What's painful to me is how few people there are today who bother to check out the facts. In many cases, just the smallest effort at checking out the facts would cause so many of these things to fall apart.
Imagine with me, if you will, 100 years ago, the kind of hatred, and I would argue fear, that would compel a group of people to stop another group of people from enjoying that. What would compel a group of people to stop another group of people from enjoying Mother Nature, the sand and the ocean? If I were standing next to you in the ocean, my blackness wouldn't impact you. And so what would compel a group of people to suggest it appropriate that another group of people have to walk 1.5 miles to enter something that none of us own? The ocean and sand. Imagine.
All right, so a couple of years ago, it was 500 yards that they had to walk to the beach, or around the fence, and then it was a mile or a half a mile, so they had to walk, and then about 3 weeks ago, it changed to a mile. And then just 4 days ago, Janice Hahn said it was 1.5 miles. Now everyone's running with 1.5 miles. You guys seriously got to stick with your facts. I mean, this is just nuts. Let me show you exactly how far 1.5 miles is, according to you guys. Because none of you guys check the facts, which is just crazy. Nobody's done any research. All you do is go off other people. It's just nuts. So here we have Bruce's Beach, and we have Peck's property with the boundaries around it. As you can see, let's go down for a closer look. Yeah, so I don't think that's 1.5 miles. That's actually about 20 yards. And that is Peck's legal boundary right there. So just thought I'd give you some information just so you have it, and so we can all stay on the same page. And here's your guys' 1.5 miles that you're up to now, which is really far. I'm guessing Bruce Beach down to 31st Street, but this is measured out on Google Earth. It's kind of far, 1.5 miles. Compared to 20 yards.
To enter something that none of us own. Right. The ocean and sand.
All right, so I am so sorry, but you're wrong again. Let me explain. So in contrast to what you said, the city and counties and state woke up one day and realized just how much of the sand people actually owned. So about 50% of all beaches were owned by private parties. They were actually so worried about it, they kind of went on a spending spree to buy everybody out. It was actually one of the motivations why they acquired Bruce Beach, because of that open space. It's one of the last open spaces kind of available in Manhattan Beach. That's a big reason why they acquired it. So here's the article that I'm sure you're referring to regarding how they roped off the beach and you had to walk 1.5 miles down. So it says George Peck, who also owns several hundred acres of land in Manhattan Beach, where Mr. Bruce's property is situated. This strip has been staked off and no trespassing signs put up and consequently, the bathers yesterday could not get to the beach without walking around beyond Peck's strip of ocean frontage. Sounds racist, right? Keep the blacks off the beach. Well, that rhetoric that everyone, Hahn, Bradford, that they all spew out to the world, all the mainstream media, it's a lie. Lie, 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 lie. A big fat lie. So the truth is, a lot of these cities were getting back these private properties because they weren't fenced off and the public was using the properties. And so the city would come in and get an easement on them and kind of destroy the property and buy it back at a lesser value. So property owners, especially during this time in this area, they had to stake off their properties to keep the public off of them. Therefore, the city could not claim, there's a word, I'll put it back in, could not come and get their property through an easement because the public was already using it. George Peck was also in a heated debate with the city regarding all the trash that was being left on his property and was blowing onto his property from the Bruce Beach Resort. He was telling the city, hey, you allowed this Bruce Beach here, you need to clean it up. And they're like, hey, it's your property, you clean it up. And so if it was your property and people were putting trash everywhere and you might lose it if you didn't stake it off, put maybe a security guard or two there, wouldn't you do the exact same thing? Be honest with yourself. Yes, you would. It was not a race thing. It had nothing to do with race. What's sickening about this story is George Peck, he didn't have a racist bone in his body. He took the covenances off his properties, therefore allowing blacks to buy properties, and he sold 6 of them to black people. And then you guys turn around and make him a racist. It's freaking ridiculous. Here's just more articles about the city, the county work to acquire sands because they're losing so much of it. Here's another one, save our beaches. Here's an article where they're acquiring land for parkland also.
Imagine the kind of fear and hatred that would compel a group of people to think it appropriate to invoke fear and hatred and violence.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. It's just, the fact police are here. And Willa Bruce and all of her thousands of guests, none of them went through fear, hatred, and violence for 12 years. I would love to see the evidence that you have when it comes to violence.
And use the laws available to them at that point in time to steal that land from a group of people who purchased it with their own earnings. I hope that we all make a commitment that we never want to be those kind of people. And certainly we never want to use the law against a group of people again. That's the commitment I think we all, whether you are elected, whether you are a resident of Manhattan Beach or not, those are the kinds of commitments I think we need to make to ourselves and our future generation.
That's a great commitment because today we have a group of people looking to steal pieces of land from another group of people. Difference is today, this group of people had to change the laws to do it. The law was set forth to protect us from having politicians giving away public land to private individuals for their benefit and not the public's benefit. Our government's excuse for changing the law to protect us now is that it benefits the public because it helps to end racism, which benefits everybody, right?
The challenge with the theft of land is the impact it has had on Black people right here in the great liberal blue state of California for generations.